Did you know that according to a recent survey by the website Rightmove, Harrogate came out as the 6th happiest place in the UK to live? The survey was based on a range of factors, including safety, sense of community, and amenities. The one thing that the residents said about the town is that the sense of community and belonging was the thing that they liked the most. This ranking came as no surprise to the residents. Harrogate has beautiful buildings, gardens and springs, and in fact its spa history dates back to the 16th century when people from all over the world used to come and visit. Today, Harrogate is a very popular tourist destination, so if you find yourself in the UK and you're looking for a happy place to be, come and visit Harrogate.
And it certainly is a happy place to be at the moment because it's IATEFL. Welcome to our live stream from Harrogate 2023. We're all ready to go. Thank you very much for joining us. If you want to interact with us, do drop a line in the comments box of the social media channel you're on, and I'll get back to you. I'm sure you know me from the live streams we normally do, but hi, I'm Sean, and we are going to get underway in a moment. If you can hear a buzz, it's because this year they have allowed us out of the office in which they locked us up last year, and we're actually in the exhibition hall. In fact, if I cut to Nikki over there, hi Nikki, you can see just behind Nikki on that camera, you can see the exhibition behind. Now, it's sessions going on at the moment. So when sessions are going on, the exhibition is quite quiet. But you can see over there. In fact, I don't know if she can hear me, but if I go over there to Georgia, she's somewhere in the exhibition with...
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Georgia. Can you hear me? Yeah, there you go. So you can see Georgia looking... around the exhibition. The one thing about the Wi-Fi when there's thousands of people using it, it's quite slow. So you can sort of see Georgia in the background over there with it. So there's Georgia, there's Nikki. You are used to those two people. We are also we've added a new member to our team this year, and she is over there. I need to just cut over the camera. You can see over there, if you're in my studio, she's over there, Nikki's over there. So over there is Anka, and we brought Anka in to tell us, to help us with the theme of sustainability. This is one of IATEFL's, I forgot what we call it, one of our, I tell you what, the chief executive will tell us. So I'll just go over there, hand over to Anka. Let's get on with our live interviews. Anka, take it away over there.
Hiya, and let's talk sustainability. And I'm here with John. John, for the people who don't know you, can you tell a bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So my name's John Burton. Hello, everybody. You may have recognized me from some of the previous live streams. My role is Chief Executive of IATEFL, and I'm here helping to run the conference this week.
You run the conference, so what?
It's terrifying, isn't it?
It is, actually, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest with you, that's probably overstating it. IATEFL conference is all about the academic sessions. So the people who are really running it are the presenters, the delegates, and the interactions between them, and of course what's happening in our exhibition. So I'm just there with a fantastic team from head office, and we're just doing all the background stuff to make sure it runs smoothly, we hope.
Well, so far it has. So
fingers crossed. Thank you.
Now, I've heard that you also care about sustainability.
I think personally, yes, but also IATEFL, yes. I think it's incredibly important to the association. In fact, the association has a development strategy with 4 strands, and one of those is sustainability, and that's been the case for, goodness, about 4 years now. So yes, it has been and continues to be an essential part of our strategy of what we do now and what we will be doing in the future.
And for the people who aren't here today, what could you see, like tangible actions?
Okay. In terms of there are a number of things, and I'll try and keep this brief, but it all comes around the main ethos that we don't know all the answers, but we try to do as much as we can in every aspect of what we do as an organisation, as IATEFL in general, in terms of our head office and how we function, and then of course, as part of the conference. And for everything we do, throughout the association, we do an impact assessment of sustainability. That's particularly relevant at the conference here. So we go through every stage looking at how we can improve sustainability and improve or reduce our carbon footprint. But then it's not just what we do. We also want to share with the wider world the ideas that we've had and how we have improved our sustainability, so that we hope others will follow in our footsteps. But equally, it goes back the other way. We've got lots to learn as well. And so we're always interested, and we always look for what are other organizations doing, what are other conferences doing, what are other teaching associations doing that we can learn from too. So it's a very sort of 360 approach that we have.
Very good approach to learning in general.
Yes, that's true. I hadn't thought of it that way, but absolutely.
Anything on your wish list for IATEFL?
Goodness, that's a really difficult. Okay, I think perhaps not a wish list, but I think one thing which the association is really looking at is, trying to get our balance right between what we organise and do face to face, which of course has an impact in terms of sustainability, and what we do online. Unfortunately, you can't do everything online, and also delegates tell us that whilst all of the events and things we do online are really useful and really transactional, what they get from a face-to-face event is that opportunity to meet face-to-face, to engage, to build networks. And so it's our real responsibility not only to make sure that the event itself is sustainable, but that we can sort of look to the future. So going back to the online thing, lots and lots of people joining us online here, but it's really difficult to get that balance between what we do online, what we do face to face. People may have heard the use of the word hybrid, and that's a really, really interesting and exciting concept, but it has challenges to it. As an association, if we have a venue for a conference and a platform, we're doubling our costs, and that makes the event more expensive for our delegates. If we have lots and lots of people online and just one or two people in a venue, then the speakers are suffering. So it's important to get that balance right through the conference and through the year, what we offer and what we do online and what we do face to face.
So one of the things people can expect for the future is to look more into that.
Absolutely.
Difference.
It's already changing. The balance, the percentage of what we do has changed dramatically. But it's very, very difficult to turn this kind of event into an entirely digital event or a hybrid event without losing a lot of its character and its integrity and its purpose.
So how did you make certain choices? Because from my perspective, it's quite sustainable. From the vegan options to the keep cup that you get when you come here and you can get and refill with your tea.
It's lots of little things. The programs we have two programs. We have a really big one with lots of information, but that's digital. And then we have a compacted one, which is the paper one, much smaller than it used to be, produced on paper, which is from sustainable sources, using vegetable inks rather than synthetic inks. It's looking into the details like that. Our signage that we use around the venue is made of cardboard, not plastic. Our processes for registering for the event are all online to remove a lot of postal transactions. That goes for the association itself too, and our membership cards. All sorts of things we can do, and each one has a little effect. I'd also like to actually congratulate the delegates, because we've been seeing them traveling sustainably to the conference, sharing and saying, I'm driving from this destination, anybody want to join me? That's fantastic, using public transport. And I'd like to congratulate our exhibitors, because all of them are taking this really seriously and are very aware of the impact of what they're doing and how they are affecting the conference. So we want to champion, to celebrate sustainability where there's good news stories.
Yeah, and I think you're also doing that in programming.
In the programming, to be honest, this is a platform. It's an international platform for people to talk about all aspects of English language teaching, including sustainability. So yes, throughout the program, there are people talking about what they're doing from every stage of teaching, from presenting to a class, through to materials development, through to publications, materials writing. There are sustainability impacts and also ideas, concepts that can be shared. And so, yes, it's an integral part of the program.
Good. And you can see that. I think there's more and more sustainability-minded talks.
We have to be, don't we? We talked about IATEFL, described this as a climate emergency. Nearly 2 years ago, and that's what it is. So it's not just about little things, it's about being serious and acting in every way we can.
Yeah. One last tip, because we're nearing the end of our time on the interview. But do you have, because you talked about all these small things that you can do that have impact, especially put them together. So for the people back home, what can they do? Is there one sustainability tip that you can say this was actually quite easy to do and that was good to do?
I'm going to do it. Yes, absolutely. Obviously, where you can, stop printing pieces of paper and actually do something online that you can share. That's not always possible, but it also works in reverse. Be aware of your digital footprint and think about what you've got online. Does it still need to be there, or can that be deleted? Because if the internet was a country, it would be the 6th largest polluter in the world. So the more we reduce having information online and digital content online, the less of an impact that has. So that's my tip. Less paper where possible, but equally less digital, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Good tip. And back to you, Sean. Did you know that one small piece of gum can take up to 5 years to fully decompose? And that, for example, a cigarette butt can take 14, but a plastic cup or bottle 450 years. Now, we all know waste is a problem, and it's directly affecting our planet, animals, and even our own health. But what can we do about it? Well, clean it up. Literati can help with this. With Literati, you are motivated and inspired to clean the streets. What you do is, whenever you find a piece of trash, you take a photo. The app will also register the GPS location of the piece of trash you found, and it will store all of that. Then you just throw it away and you've cleaned the streets. Pretty okay. But what's this app actually doing? It's collecting data. It's not only collecting data, it's sharing data. With this app, you can also find out where the most trash can be found. And you can find out what type of trash or which brands are actively contributing to waste near your school environment. Could be fun for you, but it's also data that's actively being used by municipalities, by NGOs, and even some of the companies and restaurants that are producing a lot of this waste. Because only by working together, only by sharing information, can we really make a difference. This doesn't just apply to waste, by the way. So if you don't want to immediately go out there and clean your streets, are you sharing classroom materials, for example? Everything we do that has a positive impact, we can share. So are you sharing your impact?
Hi there. So hi, welcome to the stream. Welcome to that. Hopefully you've got a little idea about our sustainability policy and how it fits in with IATEFL. And we'll be dropping in with Anka throughout the conference, who is specifically going to be focusing on the people talking about that aspect in the conference. And every day we'll give you a tip. And you might have noticed that we've already put some social media up where we're interviewing people about what they feel is sustainability and so on. I'm laughing because I can see those three in the corner of my eye over there. Let me answer some. So hi to Chris from Barcelona. Nice to see you here. Hi to Qatar. Hi Chile. It must be early in Chile. Thank you for joining us. Hi Mercedes. How are you? I hope all is well. The plenary will be streamed at some point after this show. I say at some point because I had it all planned out for it to go out at 5:30, and there's a a little technical error that's going on. So I will try and get it out. But if you're watching this on Facebook, then if you watch the stream, there'll be an announcement go out. The plan each day is that we go live between approximately 3 and 5. That's each day. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of IATEFL. Because IATEFL is a slightly shorter day on the Friday, we'll go out in the morning. So I think we're going out at 10:15. But on the days where we're broadcasting from 3, you'll get the live show little bits going on from the conference between 3 and 5. Then the plan is to try and get the plenary out about 5:30, and then we'll come and have some interviews later in the day, some of the pre-recorded interviews. So during the day before we're live, we'll record people and we'll put those out later on. But it is hopefully or going to work with the technology, and we'll see. I'll try and give you a better confirmation of when it'll go out before the end of the show. I'm just trying to work on my other computer to fix a technical thing. Anka, you need to slightly come to that way. So the 3 of them are by the wheel over there.
Hello, Sean.
Hi, Georgia. I think is the craziest of the team, and this year she decided to bring a wheel with her to conference. We'll be putting up some of the spin the wheels later on. Georgia, I'll go over to you.
Hello, Sean, and hello, everybody. I'm so happy because this year it's not just a regular IATEFL show. It's not just a regular IATEFL conference. We have got so many new things happening. Of course, we have got Anka with us, our new IATEFL member. Hello.
Hello.
How are you finding the conference so far?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Wonderful. And also we have got our IATEFL Teddy. So that's our mascot as well. We have got Nikki.
Also your mascot, yes.
And we have got our spin the wheel.
I mean, this is too exciting.
I
Georgia,
know.
Should we just do it, Georgia? Should we just do it? Come
Okay,
on.
let's go for it. Anka, so you have the honor of spinning the wheel first.
Yes.
Go for it. And the question is, what's your best tip for new teachers?
Ooh. Okay, this is going to sound horrible, but no, don't stress. I think that's the biggest thing. I could have enjoyed my first year so much more if I'd known that it was good and it's okay, and not to worry and work through the night and then still worry if it's not good enough. But to just enjoy, because I think I started later with enjoying it, and really it should be fun from the first second, and you should enjoy everything.
Nikki, what would a best tip for you be for new teachers?
I definitely agree with the no stressing. I spent far too much time worrying as well and working much more than I needed to. I would also, don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid just to try things out.
Yeah.
I think that's how you find out who you are as a teacher, what you enjoy, what works with your group, what doesn't, because I think any method or anything is a good method if it works for those students. So just give it a go would be my advice.
Absolutely.
What about you?
Oh, I would definitely say trust your creativity, because you never know where it will take you and what you can do with it. And if you trust your materials and what you do in class, then the students will follow you. So don't be afraid of the students. Just trust your creativity, and then just plan the way that you want to plan. Just something that you enjoy as well. So yeah. Okay, Nikki.
Excellent advice. Is it my go?
That's your go. Let's go for it.
Oh, that was a good spin.
Okay.
What does it say, Georgia?
What skills do you want to know next?
What skills do I want to know next? This is very interesting. What I found very interesting was talking to Ree earlier on today about the fact that the further we become involved in our career, the further away we step from those new trainers, new teachers. So I think I would like to try and be as empathetic and as in touch with the pre-service teachers that I work with as I can be. Does that answer the question?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Anka, what about you?
I am so happy I didn't get to answer this question first. So in terms of skills, I think this is genuinely a thing that as a teacher, I make the mistake as well, to ask questions and then pretend my students are Google and have the answers. And especially these days, IA is so fast that we are used to getting the answers immediately. I would like to have the skill that I did and could do that. But as I said, I'm really happy that I didn't have to, and that Nikki, you did that. And that's, I could have some time to think.
Yes.
I think in terms of skills, that would be the one I'd like to master: thinking and thinking faster.
Absolutely. I mean, last year, we were talking last year about sustainability a lot, and we were talking about what it is. It sort of turned out to be a buzz term, and we're all thinking, okay, so what is sustainability and how can we use it in class? And I'm very, very happy that I attended IATEFL last year and that I had the chance to interview a lot of people who were talking about sustainability. Do you remember, Nikki?
Yes, it was. I think that last year was very prominent, wasn't it? That there were more and more talks
Exactly.
being included in the program about sustainability. It was a word that was just coming up pretty much everywhere. Yeah.
Yes. So this year, I'm really looking forward to know more about mental health and why we can encourage mental health platforms, not only for our students, but also for our, we have got Rob. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
So also for our teachers.
Do you know what, Rob? Why don't you come in? Come in.
We are
I'm gonna
live
swap
literally
places
and
with Rob.
metaphorically. Hello, Rob. Rob, why don't you spin the wheel?
I'm gonna vanish. Sorry.
Which way?
So whichever way you want, just give it a spin and we'll ask you a question. And the question is, what don't you do anymore in class?
Teach.
Oh, fair enough, yeah. But is it something that you feel teachers in general don't do anymore in class?
No, but perhaps they should stop trying to teach and worry more about the needs of their student and center on the student and not their own objectives.
I see. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Very
Lovely.
deep.
Yeah.
Lovely. And we're
Where
going
did I
back.
win?
An IATEFL membership.
So one of the disadvantages of being live in the exhibition is that people can just wander over and they don't quite know that we're live all the time. Thank you for that. Actually, I've got some spin the wheels from earlier in the
Welcome
day.
to IATEFL.
Thank you.
We have got our spin the wheel with a lot of questions about teaching and our students. So are you ready to spin the wheel?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go for it.
So I'll just,
And can you read the question for us?
where do you get inspiration from? I get inspiration from my students. Whenever I motivate them to keep motivated, they are motivated as well. And at the end of the lesson, students, normally send me messages like, "Oh my God, we had a great lesson today. Thank you so much." Or, the endorsement from parents. That's what motivates me, inspires me. And another thing, I get inspiration from the books. I read a lot. And whenever I learn something new, I'm like, "Oh my God, this is interesting. I should really try this out on my class. I think we should use this technique." So this is where I get my inspiration from.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Oscar. Thank you very much. And Vika, welcome to IATEFL.
Hello,
Where are you from, Vika?
I'm from Tajikistan.
Lovely. Is this your first IATEFL conference?
Yes,
Fantastic. So are you ready for spin the wheel?
yes.
Go for it. Give it a shot. Can you read the question?
Share a teaching tip. So from my experience, it's better if you have a list of useful sites, and depending on your lesson goals, you look at this website. For example, I have some books which I can check in the folders, and I also use, for example, splendid working sheets for speaking. It's just that as a teacher you should have your own resources. I know some people like collecting turtles or chessboards, but as a teacher you have to have a huge collection of resources.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much and enjoy the conference.
So we'll be bringing you more spin the wheel throughout the week. So just say hello to Manuela, who's joined us from Italy, Sangeeta, who's joined us from India. Hi, welcome. You're watching IATEFL Live from Harrogate 2023. If you have just joined the stream and wondering what's happening, well, we're in the corner of the exhibition, so you can probably hear this little buzz going around, and that is the exhibition around and about the place. So there's a little bit of background noise, but we like being out more than we were last year. So that's definitely an improvement. And if you are just joining, wondering what's happening, we're going to be live bringing little bits from the conference over the next hour or so. And then some point after we go off live, we'll play this morning's plenary with the opening of IATEFL from the President Gabrielle, followed by the plenary by Evan. And then we'll end our day with some interviews that were recorded earlier in the day. But speaking of interviews, we're now delighted to be joined in the seating part of the studio, which, as I keep pointing out, is that side of there, by Jenny and Georgia. You are over there to bring in interviews. So I'm bringing you into the feed now. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Sean. And hello again, everybody. So I'm very, very excited because I have with me Jenny Dooley from Express Publishing. Jenny, welcome.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here again.
Oh, very nice. So I have to say that I'm very excited to interview someone from Express Publishing because I grew up in Greece.
Okay.
And I grew up learning English with Express Publishing.
Wow, we're honored.
So, for example, Grammar Way 1, 2, 3, 4
Yeah.
were for me the most important books ever.
Yeah.
So, tell us a few things about Express Publishing. So, when was it founded, for example?
Oh, more than 35 years ago. I can't remember, or rather, I choose not to remember because that kind of betrays my age. But anyway, yeah, Express Publishing is an international publishing house. We publish and sell material in more than 140 countries around the world. And we pride ourselves into creating really top quality material, making sure that we take care of the needs of all learners and all teachers around the world.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned material. What kind of material does Express Publishing
We
publish?
have a huge range from your basic course books to grammar books to obviously a lot of supplementary material. Like, for example, we have material created by freelance authors like Dorothy, like Rob. We have a lot of authors in our midst, and we have supplementary, as I said, readers. We have a lot of digital components, digital material, and we never stop expanding and creating new things.
And what is the target audience of these books?
Usually we try to target students who go to school, but also students who are at university level, primary school, kindergarten students, and we hope to attract a few more teachers to look at our resources, to get in touch with our agents all over the world, to do the teacher training seminars, the courses from all around the world. Right now, we're holding a wonderful course in a few weeks, I think, in June in Paros Island in Greece. And it's going to be fantastic. We have a lot of teacher training going on there too.
Oh, excellent. And are there any new products that you're launching in 2023 or
Of
future?
course, darling. Georgia, we launch products every single year. This year, we're launching a brand new series, which is called Four Minds. It's in our stand. People can come and visit us and see it. It has a lot of wonderful ideas in it, a lot of mediation activities, a lot of values, a lot of creative, critical thinking activities. Basically, we aim to educate the student as a whole, not just, fill in the gaps and do your traditional way of teaching. We aim for more communication and more thinking out of our students.
Absolutely. And I find that this is the most interesting bit in course books, isn't it? Because you want to, as a teacher, you want to bring the book alive, and it's always very difficult with a course book. So how does Express Publishing achieve that?
I would say it's not just Express Publishing. It also has to do a lot with the teachers that teach the material, because a book is a tool. A book is an instrument. And no matter how good the author or the editorial team is behind it, if the teacher doesn't love the tool that they're using, it won't work. The teacher can actually take a wonderful book and turn it into dust, or take a horrible book and turn it into a gem. So it's not just the publication. The publication, of course, plays an important role by making sure the methodology is in there, that the teacher's tool, the teacher books, the teacher materials, the resources, the microsites, that everything that goes with it is there, easily accessible for the teacher so they can use extra material. But it depends on the teacher. Who was it? I think Annie was at my stand a few hours ago, and she was saying, we don't teach English, we don't teach the books, we teach the students, and we always have to keep that in mind.
That's absolutely true. So now, of course, I don't want to go back, a lot of years ago, but since you joined the ELT industry, how do you think education has changed? In what ways?
In some countries, it has changed a lot. In other countries, I can't say that it has changed too much. I still see traditional methods of teaching. I still see a lot of teachers who might feel reluctant to try new things, to experiment. I don't know why. Is it lack of experience? Is it lack of confidence? I can't really tell. But I can definitely tell that there is a huge wave also of teachers who are really willing to make a difference, to do something out of the ordinary, to do something new, exciting, inspire the learners, infuse values to the learners, and basically not just make it about learning a language rather than educating the spirit.
Absolutely. And to what extent do you think that the needs of the students have changed, like from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago?
Well, I will talk about the 5 years ago more recently because we have obviously noticed a huge shift in digital interests, okay? Coming from the students mostly, which kind of pushes the teachers to move that way too, because we live in a digital era, let's put it like that. But at the same time, I think by making sure that the students are kept engaged in class, teachers are trying to find ways to engage them more, to make sure that they're not bored, if you know what I mean, in class. So they're participating more. And I'm not just saying, by doing the day-to-day homework, but by actively having an opinion, having discussions in class, getting entangled with stories, for example, discussing stories, discussing social issues, which is very important too. All of that is happening nowadays more and more, I would say.
Absolutely. And what kind of challenges do you think teachers experience in class because of the changes that have been happening?
If I'm 100% honest with you, I think that two rather, of the biggest challenges that teachers face is lack of engagement sometimes of the students. They need to figure out ways to trigger students' curiosity. For example, by doing experimentations in class, by doing STEAM activities, this is one way, or by introducing drama activities in class, or, things that can inspire students. That's one. And I would say number two is the fact that we see a lot of violence nowadays in schools. We have seen this everywhere, not just in the States. We've seen this in Europe too happening. So one of the most important challenges that teachers face these days is, apart from teaching whatever it is that they have to teach in their curriculum, they have to teach children values.
That's true. Yes. Now, going back to something that you mentioned before about our digital age, now, how does Express Publishing add the value of technology, and how does it train the students to use technology in class while learning English?
First of all, something like 6 or 7 years ago, we started creating our digital platforms, the Digibook platform. Okay, that was my inspiration back then. And we have now more than, I'm not going to say the exact number because my technicians tell me that these are company secrets and we shouldn't reveal them. I will say that we have approximately more than 300,000 active users. I won't tell you exactly the number, but there are more, much more. So we see that through the gamified platform that we have produced, students are starting to be more engaged. Now, if I talk to you, not simply as a publisher, but also as a school owner, I can tell you that things were very easy for us, especially during COVID, because our students in our school and the students of our users, who use the platform, were already trained. So it was just, okay, guys, forget about coming to school. Let's just stay in class and do the lesson at home. But it's not just filling in gaps or watching videos or reading texts. This is an interactive platform. It's engaging and it is gamified. So this is the first step that we took. Obviously, you realize we're not going to stop there. We are still developing new material, wonderful material. We're making new collaborations with different companies, and we've got a lot of sleeves up our ass.
Oh, that's fantastic! I cannot wait to see what the future holds really for Express Publishing. So, what is your mission?
Our mission is to make sure that our students are actively engaged, triggered, their curiosity is kept alive, their interest is kept alive in whatever they're learning, and to make them useful civilians, not just language learners.
Of course, absolutely. Well, Jen, that has been fantastic. I'm really excited to see what Express Publishing will have to offer our students really in the future.
A lot.
Lovely. So what are you looking forward to in the IATEFL conference?
Oh, the sessions, the seminars. I'm swamped with meetings, and I'm like, I need 20 minutes. I need to go see this session and that session and that session. So I try to escape sometimes, from the meetings, because I really enjoy the sessions. I can actually go and watch here.
That's excellent. Well, Jen, thank you very much for stopping by. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the Express Publishing booth.
Thank you.
See
you there.
Thank you there.
So welcome back in. You see the studio there as we change over for the next interview very shortly. I hope everyone is enjoying what's going on. It's really interesting to hear from Jenny there. And Yasu, I think is the word. Yata, how are you doing over there for Hello in Greece? Hello again to India. There's more people joined us from India and even some people from Germany now. Hi, welcome to the stream. So if you've just joined us, hi, I'm Sean, and we're broadcasting live from Harrogate. The conference began this morning. Well, it began yesterday with the pre-conference events. We are in the first full day of the conference. We'll be bringing you the plenary of this morning later on today. But in this show, we're bringing you little bits of interviews, little bits of snippets from the conference. Now, when we did the live show last year, one of the favorite things that we got comments on was when we had the storytellers in the room. And so this year, we decided to ask David, who runs the storytelling event at conference. He'll join us in one of the other streams. But we did... sorry, Mercedes, did I not mention Uruguay? Hi, Uruguay. How could I forget Uruguay? Great country, and Mercedes is someone who I've had the pleasure of working with in IATEFL terms for a number of years. So one of our favorite things that was in last year's live stream was the storytelling. So hopefully, if I get the right button, David will appear and we'll be able to have some storytelling coming up. Oh no, that's the wrong one. You see, I knew I had to get the there we go.
Aldar Kozia was riding through the snow on his old grey nag. It was bitter cold, midwinter. He was wearing a coat full of holes, 70 holes. He was freezing, frozen to the core, when he saw the Bai, the rich landowner, riding on his fine horse towards him through the snow. The Bai was wearing a thick fur coat, a thick fur hat. He stopped in front of Aldar Kozia. He saw Aldar Kozia throwing open his coat and singing a song in praise of summer. It is bitter cold. What are you doing? Are you a fool? No, indeed, said Aldar Kozia. This coat of mine is a special coat. I am warm. It keeps in all the heat. All of the cold goes out through the holes. Impossible. My father gave me this coat. Let me try it on, said the Bai. I can't let you do that, said Aldar Kozia. I made a promise to my father that no one else would wear it except me. I am an important man. Give me that coat. I will give you my fine, thick fur coat in exchange. Well, that's a good coat you're wearing, said Aldar Kozia, but as I said, I promised my father. I will give you my coat, my hat. I'll give you my horse as well in exchange for all of yours. I would do it, said Aldarcosia, but my father warned me that no one else should wear this coat. I don't remember exactly what the warning was about, but I will give you all of these things and this purse of gold. Now give it to me. Well, you are an important man, said Aldarcosia. I will do as you say. And Aldarcosia took off his ragged coat full of holes and gave the Bai the coat, the horse, and took the Bai's coat, put it on, rode on his horse with the hat on his head, the fine fur hat, rode away through the deep snow. From behind him he heard the Bai's voice, "Stop, come back. This magic coat of yours doesn't work." Aldarcosia called over his shoulder, "I remember now what my father warned me. He warned me that the magic would only work for me." This story, Aldarcosia Tricks the Bai, was told to be by Asiya Omarova from Kazakhstan.
So hopefully you enjoyed that story. Yeah, it was good to see that you have recollections of it, Manuela. So David runs the storytelling evening, and that takes place tomorrow night, as you just saw in that. So if you're at conference or you're watching this with it, then you can go to join the storytelling evening, which is one of the most fascinating of the evenings at conference. I think just the cultural exchange of all the stories. So, but we, as I said, we managed to grab David or get permission to use some of David's YouTube channel stuff. So you'll get a story every day for our conference. So I should say, tune in tomorrow for another story from David, and I hope you enjoyed that one. So I think we're ready for another interview over there. We're going to slip over to that side this time, which is the standing desk, and Nikki's got someone else to interview.
I do. Okay, Sean, thank you very much. Hello again, everybody. It's my pleasure to be joined by Taisa Lombardi. Did I get that wrong?
Yes.
Perfect. Taisa, welcome. Welcome to IATEFL.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
How's your conference going so far?
Oh, it's amazing. I attended the TD-SIG pre-conference event yesterday, and it was amazing. Yeah.
So for anyone that just isn't familiar, TD is teacher development, and the special interest groups had a whole day where they chose a theme, and then every SIG basically presented the talks and activities around that theme.
They did a joint event with the Prawn SIG yesterday, so it was all about facing our fear of teaching pronunciation. It was really empowering.
Wow, so you've already had quite a full-on day and then quite a big day today as well.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, and so, well, let's start with you. Let's start a little bit with where you're from, what's your background, how did you get into ELT, what do you do in the classroom, who are you as a teacher?
Well, I'm from Brazil, from a small town called Londrina in the south in Paraná, but I currently live in the capital called Curitiba. And I've always studied English my whole life, and I've been in ELT since I was 16. So that's been over 20 years. And so I used to work with all kinds of publics. But then in 2012, I opened a school for people over 50 years of age. It was a very specific demographic. And due to that, I started getting involved with materials representation. So now I do a little bit of both.
Let's step back. Sorry, I was put off by the fact that Sean was waving, going, "That's me, I'm over 50. Sorry, Sean, I've just told everyone how old you are. However, okay, let's step back. At what point did you decide, I want to open a school for over 50s? How did that come about?
It was my partner's idea, my ex-partner at the time. She had an experience in her family where an aunt wanted to study English, and she just couldn't find a school where she would feel comfortable. And then we met, and then she had this idea, and we put two and two together. My academic background, her administrative background, and then the school came to life.
Wow,
so it was
okay.
very interesting.
And was it well attended? Were there a lot of people?
Oh yeah,
that
lots.
wanted lessons?
The school still is still working. Now it's only online, and now I only work with the academic part of the school. I'm no longer a partner, but the project is really beautiful because students feel welcomed and included. They have friends, and they feel valued. So
Mhm, mhm.
it's a great project.
Yeah, no, it sounds it. And all of this, I think, is connected with the talk that you gave this afternoon. But so just to rewind a little bit, Taser is our Michael Berman TED SIG scholarship winner. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you also had a presentation because of that this afternoon, and it was Raise Up, and it was all about inclusive materials in the classroom.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tell us something. Like maybe let's start with what Raise Up is, in case anyone doesn't know.
Yeah. Well, Raise Up is a project developed by Ila Coimbra and James Taylor. They put together a whole book with diverse and inclusive resources for teachers. And I met James in a convention in Brazil some years ago. We were talking, and I told him about the school, and I told him the lack of representation that this demographic has. And then he told me, "Oh, you should write a lesson for Raise Up. We have another book coming up." And I said, "Oh, I'd love to." So, but I have no experience. So there was a lot of coaching, editing, and I learned a lot throughout the process. And then that's it. I have a lesson in Raise Up B2. There are 3 books now. The first one multi-level, the second one B1, and the third B2, with resources about women, the LGBTQI community, people of color. It's religious and faith, So it's very interesting. It's all about representation.
And your talk this afternoon was about how you designed the lesson and the lesson itself?
Yeah, the process, like choosing the theme, what motivated my contribution, talking a little bit about this background of mine and how I had to change my perspective a little bit, because in course books we usually see older people as the grandma with no name or the 98-year-old Everest climber. So it was quite interesting to actually design a lesson that approaches them as real people doing real things like normal people do.
Of course. When you started your language school for the over 50s, what material were you using?
We actually used at the time New American Inside Out, Macmillan, but with a lot of adaptations. For example, a thing that's very common in course books is professions, talking about professions. But in course books, whenever you approach professions, it's all about the future. What do you want to do when you grow up? And we had to shift this a little bit and ask them, so tell me about your profession, your professional background, like what was it about? So we changed it to the past, and it was a lot of work because you have the resource, but there was a big problem because, for example, materials, when you go B1 plus, there's a lot of grammar involved, heavy grammar that these students are not interested in. They want to communicate. So we used mainstream materials, but then we had to start adapting and developing lessons for their needs.
So how is the material for the lesson that you designed, that you presented today, how does it differ? What are the main areas that it differs from the mainstream course books?
For instance, it is a lesson about professions.
Oh, perfect.
Finding a job. And in the lesson, they talk about, we contrast simple past and present perfect. Well, they're talking about life experiences. So there are 2 people looking for a job. One is older. So there is this like the hiring process. They go through the process and the older person gets picked. And the thing is, it's not about saying, "Ooh, the older person got the job." It's not about that. It's about valuing the experience over ignoring that because of the age, which is something that we see a lot, right? So we used present perfect to talk about something that is relevant for them because they have life experience worth talking about.
Of course.
So whenever I've used this lesson with my students, and they feel, wow, this has happened to me. I was already in a process like this, and then they use it's easier for them to relate to the verb tense because, I mean, it's relatable, right?
Of course.
Rather than saying, I will be a doctor or I want to become a doctor. So it is relatable.
I mean, it's fascinating because a lot of emphasis is put on teaching young learners and then creating materials for teens and young adults. But there isn't so much emphasis on the older learner. So what are you thinking about the future of ELT and the inclusion of materials for older learners? Do you think that we're going in the right direction, or do you think this is still a massively kind of almost ignored area?
It still is, but we're working on it. At least I know that some people are doing research, especially now that they are having classes online. So we have people researching the difficulties they face. But material-wise, there isn't still something completely suitable. We're still adapting. Raise Up is very valuable in this. We can use, the lessons are very interesting because they relate to the real world, to real issues.
Which is really important because then it gives them meaningful things to talk about, sure.
Exactly. But it is designed as a complementary material, so it's not supposed to be like to fill in a syllabus. So we still need more work in this area.
And what advice do you have for any teachers that are thinking, oh my goodness, I do have an older demographic in my classroom. Where do I start? What do I do?
Yeah, many people say, oh, you have to be patient. You have to be patient. The truth is, to be a teacher, you have to be patient. But the truth is, you need to relate, to understand where they're coming from, and not to treat them like cute little old people. Some people infantilize the students, and this is terrible because they're adults. They may operate on a slower pace. Yeah, so you have to adapt. Of course, you have to repeat yourself. That's normal. But the truth is, you just have to treat them like the real interesting people that they are. If you're willing to break this barrier of, oh my God, I have an older learner in the class, you'll see that you have very interesting stories, very interesting people that want to be there because that's the reality. They're there because they want to be there. They don't have to. So that's it. You have to forget your own stereotypes, get rid of this baggage that we carry about older learners, and just dive in.
Absolutely. And I think it's a different atmosphere, isn't it? I know that my experience with teaching older learners is that they want to talk a lot more, they want to share things, whereas perhaps even learners in their early 20s are much more, I'm afraid to speak and I don't want to share my experience quite yet,
because they don't have a lot of experience many times. Yeah, and older learners, they do, and they're not like embarrassed, they're not ashamed of saying, even when they talk about mistakes, they can laugh at themselves. They can just move on and talk about, I had this experience, especially when they're talking about traveling. I remember a story of a student who was in a restaurant in Italy, and she kept asking the waiter what zucchini was, and the waiter would say, zucchini, zucchini, zucchini. and she was like, okay, just bring it. And then she'd, okay, now I know what zucchini is. So and she can make fun of that, without feeling embarrassed. I made a mistake, I didn't know what zucchini was. Whereas younger adults, sometimes we're stiff, we're too worried about what people are going to think.
Exactly. So. Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, best of luck with that. That sounds really, really interesting. And the school is still flourishing? Loads of students.
It is.
Oh, that's wonderful. Tyza, just one last question. What are you looking forward to for the rest of the week? What are you going to go and see?
I just want to soak up everything I can. It's a lot of content, and I attended my first IATEFL last year, and I remember that it took me 3 days to recover from all the knowledge, and that's
it's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah,
it
so
is a lot.
I want to connect with people. I want to attend all the talks that I possibly can, and that's pretty much it.
Well, now you've got your talk over and done with, you can relax a little bit and just enjoy the conference. Well, listen, congratulations again on the scholarship, and all the best with your material writing.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi there, we're coming to you live from Harrogate. This is IATEFL 2023, and hopefully you're enjoying seeing some of the different kind of speakers that we have, different topics that they're doing. And so if you are just joining in, you wonder what the noise is, it's because we're actually in the corner of the exhibition hall. And the exhibition hall, most of the time, is relatively quiet in a sense because people are in sessions, but you can hear a constant buzzing going on. And in fact, you can't see it, but just over there is kind of a meeting area. So if you're wondering what the buzz is on the microphones, it's people talking, and that's what's going on in IATEFL at the moment. So this show is daily. We'll be here on it's Tuesday today, isn't it? The day's kind of verging to 1 when we're here. So we'll be here on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 3 till 5 UK time every day, and then that'll be followed by the plenary. Hopefully, the plenary will go on about 5:30. Though if you were here at the beginning, then you'll know that I've got a bit of a technical issue on today's plenary, but I'll get it sorted out very quickly and broadcast it then. And one of the things we wanted to do with the in the live show and the interviews this year is showcase a lot of the scholarships and the people who are the first-time speakers or speakers that have won a scholarship into it. You've just heard from Tazia talking about the scholarship she won, and over in the studio over there, just looking to see if they're ready to go on air. And over in the studio over there, we've got Georgia, who is going to talk to another scholarship winner. And there you go.
Thank you, Sean, and hello again, everybody. So I'm at the studio today with an old friend of mine from the Digicom committee that we had in IATEFL in the past. So with me, I'm very, very happy to reunite with Sanya Bojinovic. Sanya, I do apologize.
Don't. It's a difficult surname to pronounce.
So welcome to IATEFL.
Thank you, Georgia.
So, Sanya, congratulations. You are one of the scholarship winners.
Yes, I am, and I'm very proud and very happy to be one. I'm actually the rowing reporter for Learning Technologies SIG.
Oh, that's exciting. I will ask you a few more questions about this in a bit. But first of all, can you tell me more about the process of the scholarship? So, how did you go about winning the scholarship?
Okay, the most important thing is to be a member of IATEFL. When you're a member of IATEFL, you get all those opportunities that if you are not, you cannot see, you cannot find. Actually, I saw the opportunity to apply for the scholarship on the IATEFL website, and I heard from the previous winners about how great that is, and I applied. You can read about what it takes to get a scholarship there, then you do as well as you can. You apply and you hope.
Excellent. And how did you feel when you heard the news?
Oh, overwhelmed. Really happy.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Now, you told me that you're the roving reporter.
Yes, I am.
Oh, tell us a few things about this.
Oh, my task is to follow all the events by the Learning Technologies SIG, to write about the showcase, to write about the pre-conference event that I already did yesterday, and to follow what they offer for this year's conference.
And what have you seen so far?
Oh, how long is this interview going to take then? Learning Technologies prepared a lot for teachers, really. The pre-conference event was a great success yesterday, and we learned so much. We had so fruitful discussions about new technologies, about ChatGPT, about digital text versus written text, about how to go around that modern technology and use it to help our students. Excellent, really.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Have you used it in class?
No, not yet. Not yet. I'm learning about it from the experience of others. And I can say that I think it will be here. We cannot do anything against it, so we must learn about it as teachers, I think.
And what do you think its potential is for teachers and students to use when learning English?
Well, it has a lot of potential. We can see already that it can do in a few seconds what we have to work on for hours as teachers, and it can help students too. But we have to be careful how to teach our students to use it and how to observe their learning.
Absolutely. So, Sanya, what is your field of interest? What do you work with?
What do you mean? I teach students, I teach young learners, preteens, teenagers, and I'm interested in learning how to be a better teacher. I also write materials for teaching, course books, so I'm interested in learning how to do that better. And I'm an active volunteer in the field of professional development, so I have many interests.
That's incredible. And now you mentioned materials writing.
Yes.
So tell me a few things about materials writing. How do you get the inspiration to write materials and to provide something different to the
I
students?
think that when you are a teacher, classroom teacher, you get inspiration from all kinds of everyday situations. When you teach your students, you see what you need to teach them better. Then when you think about how to teach them, you get ideas and you want to see ideas in the classroom. So you write your own materials if you want good materials and you think you have talent, and I think I do.
No, that's true. And how does technology affect your decisions when you write new materials?
Well, like you asked me before about Chat GPT. There are things around us that you cannot ignore, and you can choose to fight, and that's a lost battle. And you can choose to learn about the world around you, technology or anything else, and you use it to help you teach better, be a better person, be a happier person, whatever. Technology is just a tool, and we have to use it in our personal life and in our teaching.
And do you find that the students also respond well to technology being used in class?
They do. They love technology, but I have noticed that sometimes they do not really know what to do with it. They are used to using technology for playing, in their free time, for communication, and they do not really know much about how to use it well for learning. So it's the role of the teacher, I think, to teach them how to use technology to be more successful in their learning languages or learning everything else they have to learn. I teach young people, preteens and teenagers. They have a lot to learn about the world. So I have to teach them not only to learn English as a foreign language. I'm a teacher of English as a foreign language. I have to teach them how to grow up successfully, how to be good people one day, how to find a good work, all kinds of things, how to be respectful, how to learn about different cultures.
No, I absolutely agree, because there is this misconception that our students are young and they know how to use technology. But I agree with you; they mostly use it for gaming and for texting. But
Yes.
when it comes to things like, for example, sending an email or
That's a problem.
Exactly.
That's a problem. Not only sending emails, but also using different tools for learning, like dictionaries, like tools that help them do their homework.
Exactly.
They can chat with their friends. They use Discord, or they can build in Minecraft. But when I ask them to learn something with the help of technology, I usually have to teach them how to use that, how to collaborate using technology, how to be successful and on time.
Exactly. Lovely. So, is this your first IATEFL conference?
No, it's my fifth.
Oh,
And my
excellent.
first IATEFL was 10 years ago. And I was a winner of a scholarship then, but it wasn't the IATEFL scholarship, it was by British Council. That was my first IATEFL 10 years ago.
I see.
Yeah, they had a blogging competition for teachers, and I won.
Excellent. Congratulations.
10 years ago.
What was one thing that you remember from the conference from 10 years ago?
10 years ago. Well, there are some things that stay the same. The first day you get overwhelmed when you see so many people and the variety. We're all English teachers, but we're so different. And even if we have something in common, and that's obvious from the first day. But what was different? I don't know. Liverpool was different from Harrogate.
And is there anything that you're looking forward to in this year's conference?
This year's conference, I'm very excited about writing about all these talks about technology and listening to teachers, because I don't have the role of a speaker this year, so I can listen to everybody and I can reflect later and write about what I've learned. So much learning for me.
Excellent. Well, Sanya, it was lovely to speak with you. I hope that you enjoyed the conference.
I will. Thank you, Georgia.
Thank you very much, Sanya. And back to you, Sean. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Georgia and I would like to introduce you to IATEFL Teaching Tips. IATEFL is all about inspiring teachers and developing your teaching skills. So over the next couple of days, I would like to show you some of the tricks that I use in class that are very easy to create and take very little preparation. So for example, did you know that you can divide your students by using a deck of cards? What you need to do is just take a deck of cards, cut in half, and give one half to each of your students. But be careful. Do not ask them to show their half. Ask them to describe their half. If not, another suggestion would be to take some buttons. If you have some buttons at home, just use these, give one button to each of your students and ask them to describe the shape and the size of each button so that they can find their partners. And finally, for the more tech-savvy teachers in our community, what you can do is you can print stickers like these, where you can include collocations like fish and chips, or for example, have lunch. And this is a clever way to divide your students into pair groups or groups.
We have lots of little tips and videos to keep us helping us change over between the interviews. That's why we make them. That's why we play them. Hello to Mansour who's joined in. Thank you, Chris, about the Chat GPT course. We'll check that out. It's in the comments if people want to know. And welcome, hi everyone. If you just keep dropping in, we are live from IATEFL in Harrogate in 2023. And as I keep saying, we are in the exhibition hall. So if you can hear the buzz behind, then that's what it is. I think it's actually the exhibition hall is getting quite busy just looking out there, which suggests that a coffee break is coming up. So it'll be quite interesting to see how we do with that. So we've just heard Georgia talking to one of the roving reporter scholarships that IATEFL offers. Let's go over to Anka, who's the other side, with another of the roving reporters. So Anka, who you got over there?
So I'm here with Triporni. I'm saying that correct, right? Triporni,
Yeah.
okay. And you're also a roving rover.
Roving reporter.
Roving reporter, sorry.
Yeah.
A roving reporter scholarship winner. So could you tell me what is roving reporter scholarship?
So it's one of the few scholarships which are handed over to people who are in the training and development section by IATEFL. So I received roving reporter scholarship, which has required me to write a paper on the work that I am doing and the kind of social impact that I want to create with my teaching skills, my English skills. So I had written that up and I shared that and they liked it. So they selected me. I gave a speech yesterday. I presented my talk yesterday. So that's what it is about. And I would like to actually collaborate further after everything is over, after this conference is over. I have created certain connects, networks. So I want to collaborate and make certain changes in the way I am training. So that's what the scholarship is about.
Brilliant. And I think that will work because most people here say they're here to network, socialize. It's a community.
Yeah, it is. And also, you really need to find like-minded people when you are an international writer, because it kind of, sometimes gets a little lonely because you are writing the best that you can. You speak like 5 different languages in your head and you're writing in one of them. So you need people who understands the work that goes behind what we are doing and the kind of trainings that we require, which might not be European standard training or Indian standard training, but it needs to be a little collaborative standard training. So yeah, that networking is what I think I'm getting here. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear. And you said you wrote about your social impact that you want to have. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah. So see, in India, currently there is a trend where international writers are getting hired more and more. So till now, outsourcing was for engineers. Now the writers have proven the credibility that they can really write good English. There's a difference between writing English and speaking English. In speaking, you can make few mistakes, and that's absolutely fine. You can have certain cultural signatures in your language, and that is perfectly fine. But when you're hired for a certain market, you need to write according to that market. And that's, I believe, is what the social impact that I want to create. I want to learn how to train people in a very contextual basis, not a generic training as such, but a very contextual training. And that's what I'm learning from here, like with the people over here. So I want more and more Indian English graduates to come in my field without the fear that I have, that will I do the job really well. So that's the impact that I want to make.
That is beautiful. And now, when we were talking just now, I heard that this is your first time actually attending IATEFL.
Yeah.
And this obviously had my interest, because for those of you that haven't been yet, this is like massive. It's an experience. It's a community. It's hard to describe. We keep calling it a conference, but it's not really. But it's hard for me to say, because this is not my first time anymore. Could you tell me a bit about the things that you noticed? Like,
I noticed people when I came here. I was constantly thinking that I'm not a practicing teacher. So will I really make sense coming amid so many teachers? The moment I stepped in, and yesterday I had the talk, and the moment I started talking, the teachers were so welcoming. That's where all the fear melted away. And I believe that's the greatest thing you will feel if you're coming to an IATEFL conference. You feel belong the very moment you step in a room. I told the teachers that I am not a practicing teacher. I don't know your terms, but they imbibed my terms and they tried to understand what I was saying. So I believe for me, IATEFL is an overwhelming experience in a very positive way. As I was telling you, huge introvert here. I don't know how to go approach and start a conversation, but people are coming to me to start a conversation. So I think it's a great thing. It's a good experience.
and what have you done today up until now?
Oh yeah, so I started off with the plenary session where there was a talk which was given on workplace English, and that's I believe is the best thing I've heard in last 6 months. It was so relevant, something which I tried to say yesterday, but it was narrated in a way better way. So examples from workplace English, how English need not be perfect, but it can still be workable. So all these things were there, and then I went back with my ESP SIG team. I spoke about that with them, and then we kind of came to a common conclusion that we need to actually make a certain few changes, a bit of a modification in how we are training. So yeah, that's what I feel I have done.
Wow. Groundbreaking. And that was just the morning of the first official day that we started. Wow. And some of the things you said, we need to make some changes in how we teach. What would be one of those changes?
One of the changes is to understand that teaching is contextual. It cannot be a generic English training that you're doing in the classroom and thinking that the students are going to pick those and apply that in a very contextual way. It doesn't work that way. So currently what happens is, if I'm a marketing communicator, I'm going out of the classroom, getting an English training, coming back and doing something very different. So I want the teachers to come with me where I am working, understand what I am doing, and then work with me to create to understand the white spaces, and then create or curate content or training which kind of helps me navigate those stuff. So currently in my team, intercultural knowledge or breaking certain perception bias doesn't happen well enough, because all the teammates are trying, but there are certain blind spots. which probably a teacher can do much better with that guidance. So yeah.
Yeah, so basically you're saying language not just as a language, as a tool, but the context, the intercultural differences, and the understanding
and
of that.
breaking it down into minute contexts. It cannot be, bringing in people from HR, accounting, marketing together in a room and giving the same kind of training. Each person is going through something unique in that team, so you really need to blend in with these teams to give something which is relevant to that particular person. So it has to be done in a micro level. Right now it's a little generic. So yeah.
And that was just the first day. And there's a
Yeah.
couple more days.
That
What are
is-
you most looking forward to?
So I am actually looking forward to today evening because all the scholarship winners are going to get together. We are going to celebrate. I think we deserve that. And after that, tomorrow, there are quite a few talks of the scholarship winners. I have noted that down. And yeah, I think slowly my introvertism kind of came down today. So I think tomorrow I can really go and speak to people and feel good. So yeah, it's just a continuation of the good momentum.
Thank you. And thank you for your time
Thank
in
you.
doing the interview. And back to you, Sean.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I can't believe somebody packs so much into one day of the conference. There's so much going on there. Thank you so much for that. And obviously, we've been talking about the scholarship winners. We will tell you a little bit about scholarships as we go through the live show, because actually the scholarships for the next conference, which is in Brighton about this time next year, will open very soon. So it's obviously, if you want to apply for them, there are many that you can apply for, then it's something you need to start thinking about. So we'll talk a little bit more about those throughout the live streams, and we'll introduce you to some more of the scholarship winners as we go through over the next 3 days. We have been live with you now for about an hour and 20 minutes. We hope you're enjoying the content that we're bringing to you from IATEFL. That buzz that I keep talking about is getting much louder. I'm gonna go through the stream over there. You can see that the conference hall is getting busier and busier as the afternoon break is coming up. We'll be bringing you interviews for another couple of interviews today. And while we'll get ready for that, here's a video that we made earlier this morning.
Hi, I'm Rashmi Murali. I'm coming from India, Hyderabad, and I'm really looking forward to meeting all people, including my colleagues who I always work with online.
Hi, my name is Annette Eagle. I'm from Germany, and the thing I look most forward to is actually meeting people again, networking, and having a lot of fun at this conference.
Okay, my name is Nilgün Yücel. I'm from Ankara, Turkey. And what I'm looking most for is to contact new people, socialize, and experience new technological events and teaching events and all that stuff.
Okay, my name is Alexandra Zaparucha. I'm from Poland, although I came from Sheffield on Sunday. And I'm looking forward to meeting all the scholarship winners because I am a scholarship winner. And we are having a gathering in the evening when I will be able to finally meet everyone.
So, good morning. My name is Ivita Ozwal and I'm from Latvia, Riga. So, and here I'm looking for some inspiration, new people all around the world and some new knowledge. Yeah.
Hi there, I'm Simon and I'm from, well, quite close to Harrogate actually, so it's almost my hometown, not far away. And actually, I'm really looking forward to the opening session this morning, seeing Evan. I've been reading his stuff for years on business English, and I want to know what's the latest thinking.
My name is Richard. I'm here from Turin in Italy. And I think I'm most looking forward to meeting people, looking and watching some interesting sessions. I don't think I have a particular session in mind, but it's my first time since 2005. So I'm really looking forward to it.
So there's some of the people as they were coming into registration this morning. I smiled as the video was on because one of the people in the video will be interviewing later on in the program. So if you're just joining us, hi, welcome. We are in the live show from Harrogate 2023. I'm Sean and we've been meeting team. We're about to say goodbye to Georgia from the team for this afternoon because she's got to go give a presentation. And I can't believe that she's actually been sat here interviewing people all day and she's actually got to go off and give her own presentation very shortly. What's it on, Georgia? Generation Z and why they like reading books or something like that. Entertaining them. To come along. Actually, we might sneak along with a camera and see what it's like. So, Georgia, good luck, and we'll see you later on. And Anka's managed to get from one side of the studio to the other side of the studio, which is no mean feat. I mean, it's not exactly the biggest studio, but we are going to be going over there to see who she's got very shortly. I'm turning my head just to see because they're in such a big conversation. I'm not sure if they're actually ready or not. So we shall see. Let's bring them on microphone and find out who Anka's got to talk to over there.
Yeah? Okay, we're good. Okay. So I'm here with Peter Fulliger, and you're doing a session on Thursday.
I am, yes.
And you're also quite big, if I may say, on Instagram, and he has a website, and he's a materials writer. But just in case you haven't heard of Peter, could you quickly explain to the people listening who you are and what you do?
Of course. So my name's Peter. My pronouns are he and him. I'm very much interested in diversity, equity and inclusion, especially within ELT materials. So, but not only things like neurodiversity and disability, my main focus is LGBTQIA plus identities. And at the moment, of course, I'm sure people know that there aren't that many representations of LGBTQIA plus people in any ELT materials. And so I, along with some other vocal people in the community, we kind of want to increase the representation because representation matters. If people can't see themselves represented, then it's very difficult for their identity.
Yeah. Before we talk about pronouns and diversity and representation, how did you get into English language teaching?
Oh goodness, I've been I might give away my age a little bit, but I started in 2001 and I first went to Japan. I blame my cousin for this because she went to Japan a few years before I did, and she told me that it was incredible and amazing. And so I kind of decided, well, why not? If she can do it, I can do that. And so I went to Japan. And since then, I've taught in Russia and Poland and back here in the UK, in York, not far from here. And then I got into management. And then from there into materials writing and editing, publishing, proofreading, really. So it's been quite a ride, really.
Really sounds like an interesting journey, and I kind of want to talk about all of it. But we're here also to talk about your session and then the LGBTQIA+. How did you get into that, and why do you feel it's so important to talk about?
I think representation has been on the lips of so many people in ELT for so many years, and there are quite a few people that I look up to and that I'm inspired by, and one of them who has presented here was Tyson Seaburn. I went to his session today, incredible, and so his work has inspired me to try and help join him to be more representative. And when I was looking at writing my own materials and maybe writing exam materials as well, I thought, well, why am I writing about a person who I'm not?
Yeah.
And then I thought back to my teaching career. I thought, did I actually teach anybody who was part of the LGBTQIA plus community? I actually had one student who came out to me, which was an incredible moment, and I thank him for doing so. But then that showed me that there was nothing in the materials and the course books that we were using that actually represented the LGBTQ community. so that got me thinking and reading Tyson's work and looking at Tyson's websites, as well as many other people. I thought, this is something that I can do. This
Yeah.
is something that I know about. This is something that is my identity. And it all kind of exploded from there, really. And here I am on Instagram and Facebook, and yeah, it's been incredible.
And as you say, representation matters. So it's good that you're everywhere. And I'm happy we could get you as well on our show. When you introduced yourself, you also gave me your pronouns.
I did.
I think that is something that we see a lot these days. That is something I didn't do. Sorry for the people that felt that matters. I didn't do that. But I think lots of people also don't know and understand why it's important. Why do you do it, and how does it help? And is that something that other people should do?
I think it's very much an individual choice. For me, I have it on my email signatures. I have it on my LinkedIn. I have it on my website. I have it everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to get more into the practice of saying it. For me, it shows my solidarity with the LGBTQI plus community. Because, of course, with gender identity, you can't tell what gender somebody is by the way they look. So there's a lot of assumptions that can be made that are maybe wrong. And so people who maybe use they, them pronouns, they may look one way that may not seem to be a masculine or a feminine way, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is their personal identity. And the reason I use, or I say he, him, is to show that my solidarity with them, and that if they would like to tell me their pronouns, that's great, and they know I will try my best to use the right ones.
I love that. So that's basically, it's helping me so I know how to address you, but it's also sort of making something visible and in that sense helping a community.
That's it.
Are there other ways, other things that ignorant teachers like myself can do that will make it so much easier and feel more inclusive in my classes?
Well, I think going back to the pronouns, I think it's such an easy thing to do. Because of course, in English lessons, we often have the grammar tables of I go, you go, he goes, she goes, and they go. But we always seem to think about they as a plural.
Yeah.
A simple way is just to say that they can also be used as a singular person. And then you're opening up, you don't have to know what gender identity the students are. Just by being open and inclusive about it, invites the student to feel maybe more comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's one to be a little bit more inclusive.
So talking about pronouns, when I am talking about pronouns, also bring up the...
Absolutely,
okay,
yes.
brilliant. And something else that I can do that will make my classes more inclusive?
Well, I would say you could look at my resources, but I don't know whether
Go
I
on,
should do that.
go on.
If you head to my website, of course, which is, or you can find my links on LinkedIn. I have quite a few free resources available, and one actually on pronouns. But what I've tried to do is to create ready-made resources that teachers can use in their classroom, whether it's face-to-face or online. Just trying to use or trying to demonstrate how LGBTQA plus identities can be represented in classes. So it doesn't have to be, take for example, family.
Yeah.
If you're talking about family, you could have different images of different types of family, because there's not just one type of family.
No.
In ELT course books, it's mainly mother, father, children.
Yes.
But of course, as we all know, that's not how everyone experiences it. So you could have a family with two fathers and a child. You could have a male and a female with no children. You could have a solo parent with two children, for example. But the one thing about the two dads or the two mums is not to say that it's a gay family or a lesbian family. It's just a family. It's not something that we should necessarily put a label on. So by doing this, we usualize rather than normalize, because if we normalize, it's saying that something is abnormal. So if you usualize, and I have to say this comes from Sue Sanders, who is the founder of LGBT History Month UK. In order to be better represented and to help erase prejudice, we need to usualize different identities within various contexts.
Yeah, so remove the label, but at the same time, make sure everything's visible.
Absolutely.
Now, your session is called Taboos in
It's
the
called
classroom.
I Am Not a Taboo.
Yeah.
LGBTQIA plus in the ELT classroom. And this comes from, well, if you know of a certain book, it comes from this particular book I took the title from. And being LGBTQ is often talked about as a controversy or as a taboo. And I don't think we are. I think by being able to represent people in a usual light, we will no longer be considered a taboo or a controversy. And in the session, it's 2:15 in Queen Suite 3 on Thursday.
Yeah.
I think it's, that's right, yeah. Then there I'm going to talk about why this is needed, the effects that it can have, the effects of not being represented, as well as some examples from my own materials to kind of show how we can be much more inclusive.
In our classrooms.
In our classrooms, face-to-face and online.
Okay, brilliant. Now, so as you said, taboos. So obviously it's something to talk about, but not then labeled. Yes. And you said your session will be about the effects that it can have. Any teaser trailer for the people listening who either can't come or are still for some reason doubting to come?
And of course there are so many big sessions happening at the same time. I wish I could clone myself. I really do. But I don't think I can do that. Not yet, anyway. So the effects of invisibility, I think I do, because it is a workshop, I do ask, or I will ask the delegate what they think. But I think one big effect is negative mental health. So I grew up in the 80s and 90s under Section 28, which in the UK was legislation which meant that LGBT identities couldn't be talked about or promoted, they said, in schools. And so I grew up without any representation at all. And so that it did affect me quite a lot. And I think so one huge effect of invisibility is maybe you're feeling as if you're not worthy, as if you shouldn't be talked about, as if that who you are is somehow wrong. I'll leave you with those three, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're good ones. Well, they're not good, but...
No, I think they're quite horrendous. And I think I speak for everybody if we say we don't want students to feel like that in the classroom, like in life, but definitely not in the classroom that we can control. One final question. So sustainability is a big thing, often also related to inclusivity. How do you see that?
Oh, that's an excellent question.
Thank you.
I wish I had a really good answer for it. No, I think it is particularly connected because if we think about sustainability, it is about kind of helping helping is the wrong word. It's about supporting the future generations.
Yeah.
And by doing that, we have to include them with ways and methods to help solve the problems that maybe the generations like mine and maybe past generations have created.
Yeah.
So potentially, I think there is some connection. I am struggling very hard to think of an excellent answer.
But I think this is quite an excellent answer. It is about a tomorrow and making sure there is a tomorrow and having that tomorrow be good or better than today. And inclusivity, I think, very much is or should be a part of that.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Okay. Any last tips or words of wisdom for the audience?
Last tips. Well, if you are at IATEFL, I would say enjoy it. The exhibition is fantastic. And if you are at IATEFL, do come to my session. Remember, that's at 2:15 in Queen Suite 3 on Thursday, the 20th of April. And if you can't come, find me on Instagram. I'm very good. This is my Instagram handle is at LGBTQ in ELT, and you can find me on Facebook and on LinkedIn as Peter J. Fulliger.
So even if you can't be here, online there's tons of options to hear more about your topic and what you have to say. Brilliant. Thank you.
Lovely.
And then back to you, Sean. So what is the first thing that comes to mind when I say sustainability in English language teaching?
I think it has to do with conserving our environment. And I'm really thinking here about the forests that we have. Where I come from in Africa, of course, got huge forest reserves, and I really want those to be there, the trees.
Reducing photocopying.
So what is the first thing that comes to mind when I say sustainability in English language teaching?
Well, basically it's getting your students to think about different things, how they can help environment and reduce their garbage and also somehow improve their daily habits, still learning a language.
What does sustainability and English language mean to you?
It means to me that you reuse projects to teach children in a playful way about any subjects you want to, and you you make things with things you otherwise would throw away, I think.
What is the first thing that comes to mind?
I would say recycling, reusing, and trying to stretch your resources as far as possible and be environmentally friendly.
So welcome back to IATEFL Harrogate 2023. We've got one more interview to do today. We hope you're enjoying the content we're providing for you. Peter's talk, interviewing Peter there was fascinating. And he actually made reference to Tyson Seaborn, and we have a pre-recorded interview with Tyson going out later this evening by coincidence. So if you haven't yet got your head around what we're doing, so we're doing the live show between 3 o'clock and approximately 5 o'clock UK time each day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On the final day of IATEFL, Friday will be in the morning. But for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there is this live stream show where we've got videos that we've made throughout the day. We're interviewing different people from the conference, and then once that finishes, shortly after that, we will hopefully have the recording of the morning plenary coming up. And you've heard a couple of people talk about Evan's plenary already this morning, but hopefully I'll get that online for you within kind of half an hour of the show finishing. So if you're watching us on Facebook or LinkedIn on YouTube, watch out for the notification coming up. So once the show's over, we'll have the plenary at some point, and then as we go into the evening UK time, we'll bring you some pre-recorded interviews. We used or took advantage of technology to record some of the speakers last week ahead of time, and then as we go through the week, we'll meet more people from in the conference themselves. I was just about to throw over to Nikki for the last interview of the afternoon. She decided to change the batteries in the microphone, so I'm not sure if they are ready or not. Are you both ready? I haven't thrown you on yet. I didn't know if to switch the mic on or not.
Sean, is it working? Can you hear us?
I can hear. I need to
Yes.
All I could see getting ready out of the corner of my eye was you suddenly running to get batteries, and also the teddy bear was falling again.
Oh, we haven't introduced the teddy bear. This is Rodney. This is Rodney. His name's Richard, but then I realised that all of them are called Richard, and so I've called him Rodney.
Okay.
As one does. Anyway, so he's sitting here keeping us company.
Yeah, don't scare Simon off. We've just
Sorry,
got the final
Simon.
interview. Our final interview this afternoon. Nikki, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sean. Hello, everyone, again. And I'm joined this afternoon by Simon Cox. Simon, hello.
Hi there.
How's it going for you?
Very, very good so far.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. Sean can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
I'm not sure his mic is.
Oh, no.
Is my mic not on?
Try that one, Simon.
What about now? Oh, I can hear something now. I can. Oh, there we
you
go.
can.
There we go.
And Sean,
All right.
is this one working?
That's good. I mean, it took us an hour and 42 minutes to have a mic snaffle after we got going, so that's not too bad. There we go.
Okay,
Back to
we're
you.
all good. We're all good.
I was only saying that I was having a good conference so far. Anyway,
Until that moment.
until then, it's okay.
But it's
I've had
all right
worse.
now, that's fine. Okay. Simon, tell us, for anyone who hasn't met you yet, tell us where you're based and what you do and how you got into this crazy world of ELT.
Oh, that's a great question, isn't it? I suppose. I mean, it's one of those things where it seems weird to me, but then everybody's stories seem weird to them, don't they?
Mhm.
So I suppose it's about 30 odd years ago now. I think at the time, I was in Hull, and I decided once I'd finished at university that I was going to become a poet, kind of like kind of a late 80s Jim Morrison kind of figure. And it turns out that there wasn't really a market for it. So the job centre told me that I had to go and do some training, and they gave me a choice of about 3 things to do. I think one of them was bricklaying.
Okay.
But fortunately, one of them was CELTA. So my local job centre sent me along to do a CELTA to retrain. And that's how it starts,
The
isn't
rest
it?
is history.
Yeah.
And did you find yourself writing poetry in your lessons, or?
Well, it turns
let
out
go of that
I have discovered over the years that maybe I'm not quite as good a poet as I thought I was when I was 18. so yeah, I've moved on to other things since then. But yeah, nowadays I'm based back in the UK again.
So hang on, so you started in Hull,
Yes.
where it's never dull.
That's where I come from, actually.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
You don't sound like you're from Hull.
No, well, it's ELT bashes
Yeah,
it out
yeah,
of you
it
over the
does,
years, doesn't it?
And so, where did you go from Hull?
So I probably spent, let's see. I spent quite a couple of years in Hungary, which was very nice. That was in the early 90s. That was a nice thing to do. But probably most of my career I've spent in Asia. So I spent a long time in Thailand and Vietnam. And up until COVID, I'd been in China for 10 years, in Shanghai.
Oh gosh! And then due to COVID, you then had to return
Yeah.
back to the UK.
Yeah, and I've never had the opportunity to go back to China since, actually, unfortunately.
Oh, so got that? And was that difficult to come back and restart life here?
Well, yeah.
At such short notice, and I presume it wasn't necessarily a choice.
No.
No.
I mean, it's funny. That's kind of where my talk is starting today in some ways as well. But yeah, I mean, I think like all of us, COVID broke lots of traditional ties or lots of habitual ways of doing things. And for me, yeah, it was 10 years of China, and then suddenly I couldn't be there anymore. I mean, fortunately, I got a place to live in the UK already. And I love it because it's very nice. Tynemouth up on the northeast coast. People should visit if they get the chance. It's lovely.
Name dropping, carry on.
I think so. It's a place. It's okay, isn't it? It's not like it's not a copyright or trademark or anything. Yeah, but so I do. I live in a really nice seaside village, which I'm very, very lucky to live in. But yeah, I mean, a lot of those kind of COVID-related changes were very jarring for all kinds of people, all kinds of ways, weren't they?
I mean, they certainly were. But so from what you've said, I'm guessing that that's one of the inspirations behind the talk that you gave this afternoon.
Yeah.
Simon, for anyone who hasn't looked at the program yet or didn't get to see the talk, tell us something about it. The title's brilliant.
Well, it was positivity for grumpy ELT professionals.
Mm-hmm.
I cut the title down quite a lot because I wanted to have grumpy middle-aged ELT professionals, but that was probably obvious.
I thought there are more of us than just like middle-aged. Yeah. Okay.
So that was the kind of that was the starting point.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a couple of slight tricks in there because, well, the positivity maybe isn't the positivity that people might immediately guess it to be.
Uh-huh.
But the grumpiness definitely is a genuine starting factor.
Okay. So if the positivity isn't what we think it is, what is it? It's harmful rather than...
So part of it. So I guess the idea was originally, so following on the story actually that we've just been saying. So I'm sure the majority of the people in the world, I was not in a very good place once COVID made a big change to the life that I had. And I mean, to cut a long story short, I suffered really badly from burnout, anxiety, and I'm sure lots of other people did at that time as well. That experience of having lots of responsibility, trying to manage a language school on the other side of the world through Zoom calls and that kind of stuff.
That's what you were doing?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, okay.
I mean, lots of people did, didn't they? Having to go online to do everything, lack of contact with friends and family. They were all very overpowering, I think, for lots of people. So I wasn't in a very happy place for a while, and so like lots of people, I kind of went to get some counselling, and I was lucky. I found a really good counsellor. She really helped me, kind of develop new habits and kind of slowly build myself up. But the issue at the time was that positivity. Well, I discovered the phrase toxic positivity at that point.
Okay.
You know what I mean, yeah?
I think I do. Is it, well, when somebody is overly positive?
Yeah, I kind of like the idea. I mean, this is an extreme example of somebody just constantly telling you to cheer up.
Right.
Or be, it's not so bad. And not acknowledging the fact that you're allowed to feel bad at certain times because there's perfectly good reason to feel bad. Life's terrible sometimes, so toxic positivity is that notion. No, it wasn't my counselor, it was just the general feeling of kind of that I felt as if I was being pushed into a particular kind of way of behaving, of putting a brave face on things when I really didn't really want to at all. And it was my first experience with this idea of toxic positivity. So and you kind of counseling and stuff like that, there's lots of really good ideas which kind of work. They say do yoga or go for mindfulness or something like that, all great things. But it just wasn't working for me.
Okay.
And I wanted to do something that would make sense of trying to be positive again after a long period of feeling quite bad about things. And strangely for me, it came in through philosophy, which is not the normal way that people. Normally people don't expect philosophers to actually solve their problems, do they? They just expect them to say weird things, and so. But it turns out that the weird stuff that I was reading actually did help me. So that's kind of what the talk was about.
Okay. So the philosophy resonated.
Yeah.
With how you felt, and that helped to kind of bring you out into a more positive headspace.
Well, I think it was about seeing the world in a slightly different way. And that is where the positivity is a kind of different positivity to what people often might assume it might be. So it was about seeing the difference in the world in a positive, technically positive way, but just basically kind of seeing that everything is complex and connected, but always developing into something new. Like opportunities are always emerging. So today I was talking about, things like 3 years after COVID, going back into the classroom, going back into a CELTA training room for the first time with real people, and seeing kind of a dozen candidates in a room with a dozen students, and just watching that kind of, it's almost kind of like a miracle of what happens sometimes in a classroom, isn't it? That kind of amazing, and then me thinking, what's happening here? What's really happening? And trying not to see it like the the CELTA trainer that I am, kind of ticking boxes and deciding whether it was a pass or a fail or something like that. But kind of going through that process of looking at things like criteria, and then going beyond the criteria and going, no, it's more than that. It's much more than that. Like it is this unbelievable thing that happens that has consequences that kind of run through time and across space. Somebody learns something in a classroom. That's not just the here and now that I'm seeing and writing in my notes. People take it home. That's passed through generations at home or across cultures. It's an amazing thing that can happen, So, and I think maybe spending a lot of time looking at a computer screen had stopped me being able to appreciate that. So going back to it kind of through the philosophy reminded me of that thing, and it made me ready to experience it again. So I'm quite, I thought, why not share it with everybody else?
Yeah, absolutely. So is this, if somebody was in a space where they were feeling, I don't know, negative is the right word, but let's say burnt out, to use a phrase that you used, what would you recommend that they do?
Well, because I'm definitely not a psychologist, but I mean, this was part of the question, which was that as a teacher or a trainer or as a manager, big part of that is we're supporting other people,
yeah, of course,
students or teachers or whatever, and in an already anxious state, I became quite worried that am I being toxically positive to other people? Have I been guilty of just saying, "Come on, buck your ideas up, sort yourself out, you'll be fine," And that I didn't want to do that again. So I think the gist of what I was talking about today is that a lot of the kind of habitual ways that we think force us into, well, not force, but kind of like, we fall into the habit of making decisions based on kind of either or thinking. And as soon as we start thinking it's either this or that, then just naturally we kind of start assuming that one of them must be better. So I was talking about like one of my kind of pet hates as a manager is seeing best practice for something. I hate that, right? And for years I didn't know why I hated it. It was just something in me that kind of it really riled me. And but this kind of this Deleuzian thinking that I've been talking about kind of explained it to me in a way, which was that as soon as you say something is a best practice, you are limiting the opportunities for people to be creative, to express themselves. And I know as a manager, sometimes it's lovely. Somebody says, just do this thing, this pattern, or fill in these forms and do it this way, and it'll be fine. But that's not a positive way to do it. The way should be to explore, to kind of experiment with things. I don't want to have a best practice. I quite happily borrow your good practice, and then their good practice and their good practice, and you put a group of CELTA trainers together into a room, and you'll get a million great ideas. It doesn't mean that one of them's best; it just means that they're all good. That's the kind of world I want to live and work in. Really. So cutting a long, complicated story fairly short, that's kind of what it's about.
So do you feel freer in a way, I suppose, without the constraints of it's either this or that? And so as a manager of a school, I think that what you're talking about, probably nearly every staff room has people that are perhaps feeling trapped or, feeling burnt out. Is there anything that managers of schools can do in order to potentially reach out to staff who might be feeling like this?
I think, again, in kind of like slightly amateurish psychology, I think, all of those things that people say about things like just learning to listen, not rushing to give easy answers to complex questions, and those kind of things. That is good advice. But my kind of way around it is maybe just come at things from a different angle. I know, I was saying before about, I've been a teacher and a trainer and a manager for a long time now. And I remember when I started as a manager, I didn't really know what I was doing. Like probably very few of us do, I think, because there was no formal training to go to that process. And so at the time, kind of, it was a little bit like it was when I was a teacher. Do you remember, kind of go through a CELTA? We were talking about this before, weren't we? very often on a CELTA course, all that trainees want is give me some activities that I can use in the classroom immediately, right? You know, and kind of like that's often exactly what they're desperate to get. But I felt that way as a manager as well. I was just desperately looking, you know, what's a procedure, what's a protocol, what's a set of forms that I can nick from somebody else that will manage my HR problems or my, you know, professional development requirements and stuff like that. And I think that that's a horrible burden for new managers. I mean, luckily I'm old enough now to have kind of gone through that and been given a little bit of freedom to think around it. But I really do think, I mean, like, you know, most people in, you know, leadership and management would say we need to train the leaders and the managers better. But and some people are beginning to do that, which is great. But I'd say it's not just doing it, training better. It's also just making it bigger. I think allowing more and varied sources of new ideas. You know, especially in kind of ELT management, we can be quite insular sometimes, and so you look outside that and you look to say, you know, say mainstream government school education, but to be honest, they have as many problems as we do, if not more, and actually a lot of the stuff that we borrow from state schools, for example, it's not great actually. You know, even though there's a lot of very good leaders in that sector, very often it's not appropriate the way that we kind of, you know, borrowed it. So and it's not just looking at management in general, I don't think. I mean, you know, because they seem to be full of 7 tips for having a successful business as well. I mean, they're always these
successful ways to success.
So I mean, like, there might be something there, but I don't think that that's enough either. So this is kind of this idea of that you don't just look for one thing, you're going to look for both this and that and that and that and that, and you never just stop looking for inspirations and creative ideas as a manager.
I think that's a lovely and a very important message, because at the beginning you don't necessarily have the confidence to think I can go outside of, you know, the mold and find these other things and do it this way. So yeah, I think that's a very good message.
I mean, it's another area where, I mean, communities of practice I think are important, and you know, especially lots of people talk about communities of practice here, which is great, but I don't necessarily think we actually do it very well, especially for managers. I think, and it's a very isolating experience a lot of the time, you know, and I think that it's the part of the community of practice. It's not just the support, it's about the injection of new fun ideas, you know. And it's not, you know, it could be that you've read something in a novel, or you've seen something in a movie, or you've read something in a bit of post-structuralist French philosophy, for example, which everybody does on the weekend when they've got nothing better to do. You know, I mean, like, it's kind of, it might be kind of far out, left of center, but sometimes ideas just resonate, and so that's kind of what was happening for me.
Okay. Well, if it works for you and it's brought you into a better space, then it's the right way for you.
Yeah,
I think it's lovely to share it as well, so that other people can go, I'm going to try that and see if it works for me too. Oh, that's lovely. Simon, thank you. And just very quickly, I know that you're going to be leaving the conference soon. What are you taking away? What's your takeaway from the event, from what you've seen?
The thing that interested me most today was I went to a session on kind of a educational thinker called Paulo Freire. Sorry about my Portuguese, if anybody's Portuguese out there. But Freire, I mean, like, it's his famous book was called Pedagogy of the Oppressed. So he's got had a very particular political line to his way of doing things. But you don't always have to just read it from that perspective. I think he also managed to have a very positive view of teaching and the learning process and the relationship between being a teacher and a learner, and that, you know, sometimes we can get really sidetracked by discussions over technology and change and what technology is going to change into and what it might do to us as teachers. But so that particular talk was really nice in the sense it was really just, let's just talk about teaching and learning. Quite enjoyed that.
Back to basics.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's brilliant that you've got one positive thing to take away from the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's lovely. Simon, thank you very much. It's been lovely talking to you.
Thanks. It's been really nice to talk to you too. Thank you.
Thank you both for that. I guess, Chris, I agree completely. I'll try and sort it out, juggling lots of computers, but it's just easier to leave it as one thing. But I don't disagree with you. And I'm sorry, Susan, that you couldn't get to IATEFL, but now we know you're called Susan, and I'll say hello to you every day. So thank you very much to everyone for joining us today. I hope that you have enjoyed what we've had to offer. We've been through a number of interviews. We've got the same lined up tomorrow. Well, different interviews, obviously, but lots of interviews lined up for tomorrow. A few more little videos from around the conference. And hopefully, keep an eye out on your social media channel in the next half hour or so, and you'll see what's coming up this evening. And now, as soon as I go off air in a moment, I'm going to upload the plenary into the system one more time, and hopefully it'll come out in the next half an hour. But if you keep an eye on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you should see the plenary coming relatively soon. A few more interviews that we've recorded earlier, and of course we'll be live again tomorrow at 3 UK time. And I actually think that while I've been on air, that David is confirmed is coming in to tell stories live tomorrow as well. So that's how we'll begin. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being with us for the last 2 hours. We're going to upload a plenary, and we're going to go and watch Georgia's talk on Generation Z, and we'll report back on that tomorrow. So thank you all. Hope you enjoyed the plenary when it comes up today. Enjoy the rest of the interviews that we'll have on tonight, and we'll see you again tomorrow.